what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Elizabeth. I mainly do like fashion videos and a lot of haul and reviewing products videos, so I love to read, and I feel like I read a tad bit more than like the average person. I don't read like crazy like book YouTubers and all that kind of stuff, but I love to read. I read a good amount, and I've been really into book YouTube lately, watching YouTubers talk about books, book recommendations, what they've read, things like that. So I wanted to do a little recap of all the books that I read this summer. So from the beginning of May to Labor Day weekend, I read 27 books, and I wrote them all down and I rated them. So I'm just gonna go through them, and I hope you guys get some like book inspiration, learn about some books that you haven't heard of, add to your TBR list. It's your to be read list. I hope you guys enjoy this. I know it's very different from what I normally do, but one of my best friends, Natalie, she has a YouTube channel. She recently did this of all the books she read in August, and I loved watching her video, and I just love chatting about books. So we're doing it. I hope you guys enjoy. All the links for the books I talk about will be in the description box down below, as well as my Goodreads account if you want to go follow me over there. So let's hop right into it. So the first book I read this summer was a Redheads Choice. So I love The Morning Toast, clearly. I did not plan that. But The Morning Toast has like a separate podcast called the Redheads Book Club, and they pick a different book every month, and I try to keep up with it just to read something that I wouldn't have picked on my own. So that is All Roads Lead Here. This was such a long book. It is so thick, and I don't have a lot of the books with me because I give all my books to friends so they can read them, so then I can talk about them with them. I just force my friends to read the same books that I do. So my best friend has like all of my books right now. So I'll just be inserting pictures on the screen for each book. But All Roads Lead Here is about this woman who leaves where she has been living, goes to the other side of the country where she grew up, I believe. It's like a very, very slow burn romance, and it really dragged out a lot. It could have been cut in half, but nonetheless, I still enjoyed the book. It was a great story, and it really wrapped up really quickly. I gave this 4 stars. I really liked it, but like looking back on it now, I was like, when is this book going to end? But overall, a good story. It does have like, I think like 1 chapter of spice. I do try to read like non-spicy books. Like that's not why I'm reading books, is for spice. So I'm more apt to read books that don't have spice, but like I can deal with 1 chapter because then you just don't even have to read that chapter, you know? The second book is The Maidens. This is the same author as The Silent Patient, and these are very hyped up books, and I liked them both. I definitely like The Silent Patient a lot more, but they're just like weird. Like they really are weird. Like I'm kind of concerned about the author. Like, is he doing okay? Do we know how he's doing? I gave this a 3 stars. It's about this woman and her husband dies, and she has her niece. She's always been close to her niece, but is continuing trying to build the relationship with the niece while the niece is at college. And when the niece is at college, all these bad things start happening, and then all these secrets start coming out about like their family and the niece, and it's just like a wild story, and it's really just not okay. So I gave it 3 stars. Like it's all right. I feel like it's a hyped up book that people read, but it really wasn't a favorite. I'm not telling people they have to read it kind of thing. Next is Part of Your World. So this was the May Book of the Month pick that I chose. May was the first time I signed up for Book of the Month, and I have loved it ever since. Every book I've gotten are not books that I would originally pick out. Like they would be like pushed at the bottom of a TBR list, but I have loved every single book I've gotten from Book of the Month. I actually have a discount code. I don't get anything for it, but you get your first book for $5. So I'll put that down below. I think that's an incredible deal. It's like a hardback book for $5, brand new. Pretty good deal. But Part of Your World is about this doctor, and she ends up in this small town and meets this guy. And of course, it's just like a long distance romance, and he's like small town, she's big city. So there's like the difference in worlds kind of thing, and just seeing how like they try to work it out, how they don't work it out, and back and forth. And overall, it's such a good story. I flew through this book. If I'm like on vacation or something, like I can read like a book in a day, but normal like day-to-day living, like I have a life, I work, things like that, I probably read like one book a week. But this one, I remember I flew through, I think it was like a Saturday. I read it all in one day. It was incredible. Next, number 4 is Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty. She wrote Big Little Lies and My Husband's Secret, or The Husband's Secret. I read The Husband's Secret and really enjoyed it. This book was so bad. I was forcing myself to read it. I almost didn't finish it several times. It's so long. I gave it 2 stars because there were some parts that I was like, I'm interested in what's gonna happen. It's like kind of like a mystery, and the way it plays out is so stupid. Like, it's about this mom that's missing and these kids that are trying to figure out where the mom went, what happened, did she get abducted? And it's just a really bad ending to a book. And they all play tennis, and like tennis is a big part of it. It's weird. It's not a good book. I do not recommend. Number 5 was Run, Rose, Run. This was the June, was it June or May? I guess it was June, Redheads book club pick, and I gave this 5 stars. It was a very quick read. I read this in one day when I was traveling to go to the beach and really enjoyed it. It was a quick story, kind of kept you on your feet. It wasn't the best book I've ever read, so I'd probably give it like a 4 or 5 looking back at it, but a good book that keeps you hooked, that you read really quickly, and that just kind of has you enthralled is really what I look for. So that's why I gave it 5 stars. And I rate it, I don't do like 0.5 or whatever because I just do like the Goodreads rating. It's about this girl who like escapes her town that she had like a bad upbringing in and becomes this really renowned country singer, and then all the stuff about her past starts coming out, and it's just like her trying to escape from it kind of thing. So it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. It has like a love story element and friendship elements, which I always really love. Number 6 was Winter in Paradise by Ellen Hildebrandt, or Ellen Hildebrandt, whichever way you want to say it. I gave this 4 stars. I read the whole trilogy. I gave the first 2 4 stars and the third one 3 stars. So What Happens in Paradise and Troubles in Paradise. I love Ellen Hildebrandt. She just writes really good stories that are nice. Like, they're clean, fun books. There's not really ever any spice in her books. And it's just like a really good story that always keeps you entertained, keeps you locked in. And this trilogy is such a good beach read. It's based in St. Thomas, I believe, and it's about a family, and the husband dies and the kids find out that he had this house in St. Thomas that they knew nothing about, and the wife, and so they're just trying to uncover this whole other side to their dad that they didn't know about. So that's really what the whole 3 books are about, and it's really good. They're all based in, is it St. Bart's or St. Thomas? Something like that. Really enjoyed. It's the US Virgin Islands, I know, but great beach reads. Great beach reads. And they're pretty quick. Like, I flew through them. I read them all in one day. Not all 3 in one day, each one in a day. Number 9 is Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I'm slowly trying to read all of Colleen Hoover's books. I definitely really like some, and then I definitely really don't like others. I thought this one was good. I gave it 5 stars, so clearly. The thing I like about Colleen Hoover is they're fast-paced books that really get you hooked really quickly, and the writing is pretty light, so you can just read through it really quick. And it's a really good palate cleanser in between a lot of books. That's typically how I try to do it. Like, if I read a slow book, or I have some books that I don't really feel great about, I always try to go back to like a Colleen Hoover just for like a quick refresh, because it's typically going to be a pretty good book. And Heartbones was definitely a little bit different of a book for her. It's about this girl who goes to live with her stepdad, meets the boy next door, who really isn't the boy next door, and he gets caught up in legal trouble. And it's just kind of like their love story, is he has like a lot of issues that he has to work through, and they kind of work through them together. But overall, a really great story, very quick read. I feel like you really can't go wrong with a Colleen Hoover book for the most part. There's one in particular I really don't like. Maybe I can do more book videos. I don't know. We'll see. After that, I read The Perfect Marriage. So after I read like a lot of love books, I like to throw in a thriller. And so I read The Perfect Marriage. I heard a lot of great things about it and I gave it 5 stars. I was not expecting the ending and the twist at the end. It's about a couple, they're married, a scandal breaks out, the husband is having an affair, and the woman he's having an affair with is killed at their lake house. So of course he's the #1 suspect, so it comes out that he had an affair, and the wife's a lawyer and she's defending her husband in court, but she thinks that he killed the girl, and obviously they're having marriage issues because he cheated. Now she's dead, now he's in court. It's a big thing. Really good twist, really kept me entertained, and it has like rings on the front, and I was reading at the beach with my in-laws and they thought I was reading like a marriage book, like a uplifting, more like self-helpy kind of book, and I was like, yeah, this is about murder. It's not The Perfect Marriage, I can promise you that. So just in case whoever you're reading it around. Next, I read Between Sisters by Kristen Hanna, and I gave this 5 stars. I love Kristen Hanna. Again, good, clean, no spice books that are just really heartwarming. I love her Firefly Lane books. There's 2 books, Firefly Lane and Fly Away, and that's just like about 2 best friends. And this was kind of similar, except it's 2 sisters that are estranged and then getting their relationship back together. I love books about friendship, sisters coming back together, and just like heartwarming things, because it just makes me so thankful for the friends that I have in my life. And it always makes me cry like no other book. Like a romance book probably won't make me cry, but a book about like best friends or sisters, even though I don't have sisters, always makes me cry. And this was, I loved this book. It was so good. 2 sisters from 2 different worlds kind of coming back together when one of them is sick. So good. 5 stars. I love Kristen Hanna. So good. Number 12 was Hotel Nantucket. So this was Elin Hilderbrandt's book that just came out this summer. I gave it a 4 stars. I, again, love her books, but this one had like a ghost element, which like isn't my favorite. I'm not really into like not spooky, but like sci-fi, fantasy kind of stuff. I haven't read really any fantasy books besides like does Harry Potter count? It's just not really my thing. So that was really kind of like for me, but it's about a hotel that they are establishing brand new in Nantucket, and it's from all the different perspectives of everyone who's involved, like the general manager, the chef, people who stay there, and they're all trying to get 5 keys from this famous travel blogger. So it just has a bunch of different elements. It has love story, it has mystery, it has just heartwarming vibes to it. So you really can't go wrong with an Elin Hildebrandt book. I have not been failed by one yet. Number 13 was Girls with Bright Futures, and this was the July Redheads book, which I had never heard of this book, never would have picked it. Loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It's like kind of based on the college admission scandal. So there's a bunch of different daughters and their moms, and it's all about their processes applying to colleges like Stanford and what they're willing to do to get in. So a lot of them have different socioeconomic backgrounds and who's paying what university, who's studying the hardest, who's best well-rounded, and they're all like fighting for it. And it also has like a mystery element because one of the girls gets hit by a car. It is such a good book. I loved it, highly recommend it. It's a little more dense of a read, but I flew through it because I was so like enthralled the entire time that I just couldn't get enough of it. So highly recommend that book, and there's a podcast episode to go with it. Number 14 was The Lifestyle, and this was the book of the month book from book of the month that I picked for June. Love this. It's about like a couple who has infidelity, so they want to fix their marriage, so the wife suggests swinging to fix their marriage. Plot twist, it doesn't fix the marriage, but overall it's a really good book, and just like a kind of world that I never would even think about or think about reading about or anything. So I liked that element to it. There really wasn't any spice to it, I believe, even though it is about swinging and stuff. It was a really good book. I gave this 5 stars as well. Next was my July book of the month pick, and that was Youre Invited. I gave this 5 stars. It is a thriller mystery about these two best friends, and they have a falling out, but you don't know what the falling out is about. And one of the girls is just really obsessed with the other one, who becomes this big influencer, and she ends up getting engaged to the other friend's ex-boyfriend. And so the ex-best friend travels out there for the wedding. She's invited, and all this crazy stuff happens, and there's like con artists, family drama, love stories, best friendship at the end of it. So really good book, 5 stars. Again, I love signing up for book of the month. I have been very, very pleased with every single book. 16 was The Sixth Wedding, and this is on, I think I checked it out from Libby on from the Kindle, and this is like a novella to 28 Summers by Elin Hildebrandt. It's just like a little wrap up, and I didn't know this was a thing. Apparently it came out last year and I just found it, so I read that. It was a super quick read, and I gave that 4 stars. It's just a continuation of 28 Summers from a few different perspectives. I don't want to spoil 28 Summers for you, but if you read 28 Summers, I highly recommend The Sixth Wedding. It just kind of wraps everything up for you. Sorry if I probably sound like really weird. The weather is starting to like get a little cooler, and I forgot to take my allergy medicine for like 2 days, and I have the world's worst allergies. So I'm really being hit with allergy attack right now. And so I have a medicine ball tea, and I put like some local honey in it. So hopefully that helps. 17 is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this is the first Taylor Jenkins Reid book I've read that isn't like her historical fiction kind of books. I'm currently actually reading Daisy Jones and the Six. I'm almost done with that, but like I've read Malibu Rising and Seven Husbands. Love them, but this is totally different. Love this book. It was so sweet. It's about this couple who only dates for a short amount of time, and they get married, and then he suddenly dies, and it's about her meeting his mom for the first time. She didn't know he was married. A bunch of really cool stuff, and it's just how the main character evolves and grows and learns about her husband. Nothing like salacious or anything, but a really good book. It's really sweet, like love story throughout it all, and she gets really close with his mom. And I just think it's a really cute story. 18 is A Flicker in the Dark, and this was the August Redheads book club podcast book. Loved this. Such a good thriller, probably the best thriller I've ever read. Gave this 5 stars. It was the author's debut novel, and she has another one coming out in the winter, I believe. But it's about this girl who, when she is younger, her dad is a serial killer, so he goes away to jail, and she grows up to be a therapist. And when she's grown up, 20 years after her dad's attacks start happening again, and all of the girls who are attacked are connected to the daughter somehow, and it's her trying to uncover who is doing this again and who is like trying to mimic her father. So good. Was not expecting the twists in this book. Really kept me on the edge of my feet. Flew through this book. 5 stars. Loved it. 19 was Home Again by Kristen Hanna. This is probably my lowest scored Kristen Hanna book ever. I gave it 3 stars. I think why I didn't like this is it's mainly from a man's point of view, and I'm not a man, I don't relate to a man. So that was really weird for me. It was about this man who is a celebrity, and he starts having heart issues, so he goes back to his hometown for his surgeries and treatments, and him being reunited with the people who he was with growing up, like his brother and his ex-girlfriend. There's a lot of different like point of views. It does have a lot of interest, but it just was really kind of boring to me, I think, because I just didn't connect with the main character. But the side characters I connected with a lot more, like the women involved. So I gave it 3 stars. Not my favorite, probably wouldn't recommend it, but I love Kristen Hanna still. 20 was The Love Hypothesis, and I gave this 5 stars. This came out last fall, and everyone has raved about it, and I finally got it from Libby, and loved it. It was so good. It's about this girl getting her PhD in some sort of science. I forget what it was, but then she had fake dates and other professor, and it's just like the intra-workings of fake dating and then falling in love, like a typical kind of story that you would expect, but it's just really sweet. There is one chapter of spice, but besides that, I don't think there's anything, but really sweet, really just like, it's really cute, and I was crying reading it and love this book, 5 stars. Then 21, 22, and 23, I read the Summer I Turned Pretty series. So I watched the series that came out on Amazon Prime early in the summer, and then Natalie read the books and was obsessed with them, so I borrowed them from her. Oh my gosh, I loved these. I flew through these books. They are so good. They're probably some of like my top books ever, and they're YA, so there's no spice in them. Just a really cute, sweet, like high school, college love story about Belly and 2 brothers, and I love it. I don't want to give it away because it is a TV show as well, and I'm sure we all know, most people know what happens, but love these books. I gave the first one 4 stars. I think that was because I already kind of knew what was happening because I had seen the show, but then the other 2 I gave 5 stars, and I told myself I will read these every summer from here on out because I love them that much, and I borrowed them from Natalie, but I'm definitely going to purchase my own hard copies because everyone needs to read them. I love them. And then 24, I read Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This was the September Redheads book, and I gave it 3 stars. A lot of people really love this. It's a memoir by Dolly Alderton. It's based in the UK, and it's about her like adolescence and 20s growing up and what she learned about love. And I think I didn't really like this book because she's really a big partier, and a lot of it revolves around drinking and sleeping around, and that's just something I don't really relate to. And it was kind of like a lessons, like what she learned by doing those things. And I was married at 23. I didn't have like this crazy 20s experience, so I think that's why I didn't really like it, but it did have some good parts and some sweet stories of her growing up, and it always comes back to friendship, which I really liked. So yeah, I gave that 3 stars. I really wouldn't recommend it to many of my friends, but if you have like a more wild 20s experience, I think it would be something that you would connect with a little bit more. 25 is Summerland by Elin Hildebrandt. I really enjoyed this book. I have this one right here. Haven't given this to my friend yet because this is more of a recent read. This is about students from Nantucket High. They went to a bonfire after graduation. They were juniors. One of them dies, and it's following the mom of the girl who died, who also had a twin brother, and just their story of what happened. There was a secret that the girl found out, which was why she died. So it had mystery, love, family, friendship, so really good read overall. I gave this 4 stars. Next, I read like the hot book of the summer, which was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I gave this 5 stars, read this in one day, really flew through it, really great beach read. I read this at the beach at the end of the summer. Love this book. It is about a girl who falls in love with this boy at her summer house, and then they just always stay in touch, but then they have a big falling out and a lot of things happen, and then when they come back together, it's them trying to work through the issues and problems they had. This was so sweet. I loved it. There's definitely some things that I was really shocked by. There's a little bit of spice in it. Well, there is spice in it, but it's, I think, only 1 chapter, so they keep it a little bit tamer, I would say. But overall, I think it's really good because it's like friendship to lovers kind of thing. So sweet, and I definitely see why so many people recommended this book. Then I wrapped up the summer with my August book of the month pick, which was When We Were Bright and Beautiful, and this is a literary fiction book. The twist in this book I was not expecting. So it's about, the main character is this daughter, and her brother goes on trial for rape, and they come from a very well-off family, so it's them trying to uncover if he did it, but then she also had this secret this whole time, and then the secret comes out in court. I was just like dumbfounded at what happened. It was a very, very good book, very good read. There was like a little bit of spice and a lot of it was alluded to, but wasn't really explicit in saying what had happened. Overall, this was so good. Really enjoyed this. It really has you messed up at the end of it. So now that's why I moved into Daisy Jones and the Six for a little more of a lighthearted read, but I gave that 4 stars. So those are the 27 books that I read this summer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you did. I would love to do more of this and just share more about what I read and what books I recommend. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment a book emoji if you made it to the end of this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!